This is a little crazy here. No whites allowed in 2024. Does that surprise you? No whites are allowed at a University of Winnipeg in the BIPOC lounge. Now, I know there's still a couple of people out there going, what the heck is BIPOC? Is that some sort of
Hmm.
disease that you can catch? So it's people of color and biracial. So the University of Winnipeg, sorry, you guys, I'm very sorry. I got new headphones because my other ones broke and these don't fit my ears. So excuse me for holding it because I know the mic is falling. The University of Winnipeg allows all students to enter and enjoy their BIPOC lounge so long as they don't identify as white. What is this identify as
Identify?
crap? Yeah,
Like
this
what?
I
I can just come and just say, oh, I identify as black. I think that
yeah.
is more insulting.
Well, is it though? Like, what does identify as white? What does identify as black? Out in, I know I'm going to get back to this, but in the science world in Vancouver, they were like, if you identify as Indigenous, you get in for free.
Yeah.
And I said, what does identify? You either are or you aren't. And they just looked at me like, So, anyways, if you don't identify as white, if you identify as white, you're not welcome. But if you don't identify and you are white, I guess you're welcome. Inside the University of Winnipeg's Bowman Student Center, the University Students Association opens its BIPOC lounge every day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to serve as a safe space exclusively. What happened to the word inclusive? Exclusively for students who identify as Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color, aka BIPOC. Um, this is really some disturbing stuff. And, I've heard the term reverse racism, but I don't like that term either because racism is just racism. And racism is colorblind in the sense that it doesn't care who you are. Often, if you're the minority, you're more likely to be experience racism, depending on what country or area you're in. A list of the lounge rules posted at the entrance clearly states that students who do not identify as Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color do not meet the requirements to enter the lounge and are not welcome inside. This is that moment. This is that moment in history that we've all heard of in the past where people are faced on what side of history are they on? Are they pro segregation? Are they pro racism? Are they pro Jim Crow laws happening in Canada in a university?
Like seriously, take a moment. And if it was the reverse, that it was
Yeah.
only white people allowed in, this will be everywhere as like, oh, condemnation, this. And just because now we are actually going against the white people, that's fine. There is no problem there.
It's so bad. And I think part of the whole identifying thing is that's kind of what they want white people to do right now is not to identify with being white. They want them to identify as being the oppressors, this sort of faceless, shameless thing that you shall have no pride in who you are, who your culture, who your heritage. It doesn't matter what your lineage went through to get you or your family where you are. You are nothing. You are whittled down unless you're an ally. If you're an ally, then you're something, then you're welcome, you're part of the movement, and you can come into the BIPOC lounge. It's some sick, twisted stuff, and it doesn't surprise me at all it's happening.
Yeah,
Oh,
but do you remember not long time ago in Ottawa, there were a show that was supposed to be for only Black people and Indigenous. And
yes.
finally, because of the pushback, they allowed in
Yeah,
almost everybody who identify or whatever in. And I was like, seriously, are we bringing back racism?
we are. I saw a quote, it said, racism wasn't dead, but we have brought it back to life. Like that's what we've done. It was on life support and we brought it back to life. But I'm going to share a link too because it's just reminding me, and I actually have another report coming up about this connected to it. But the anti-white art display at the Vancouver Art Gallery, I don't know if anybody saw my report on that. I'm not finding it very fast, but they had a whole display with just anti-white stuff after another, and people are going in there and looking at it, and there's white people like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And my question is, and I know there's a lot of white people who are against this stuff, and that's great, but there are a lot of white people who are for this stuff. And my question is, what has happened? Like, how were you raised to believe that you are this horrible person? There you go. Conceptions of white, because they say white isn't really a thing, by the way. But why do some white people fall for this so quickly and actually just whittle down to what this narrative is trying to make them? I don't know why that's happening. If the tables were reversed and society was telling me that, you're black, you're bad, I would push back against that. Yeah. So.
And how do you see all this? Because like now it's kind of like the reverse. I don't know if they want us to feel what the people in the past, like the black people in the past, have lived. I don't know if it's like a kind of revenge. What do you think it is?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, what I really think it is again, it's a pushback on Western society. It's about disabling our nation. That's what I think. Many of these bizarre things that have been pushed over the years, I think one of the things they all come down to is taking away our pride in our nation and things like that, and making way for a whole new sort of system and program and identity of Canada. So we're essentially losing Canada.
Because what I see, the movement of the far left of anti-colonialism refer to the white, the Christian, and also they put the Jews also in the same boat. So what we are seeing right now, it's the white, it's the Christian, it's the Jew that have been attacked by all corners. It's mostly for getting rid of the people who they call the people who colonize the colonizers.
Yeah.
So how I feel.
Yeah, and if your parents out there, I mean, I do many reports on the stuff that's happening in schools to even younger than university. I mean, it doesn't start at university. So make sure you're really having these conversations with your kids too, because they don't stand a chance. They want to be inclusive. Kids are not naturally racist. And so when they're told, like, just by the color of their skin, they might be, of course, they want to be an ally or whatever. So you really, really got to show your kids the way to go with all of this stuff.
Are you struggling to figure out what to buy your loved ones this Christmas? Look no further. RebelNewsStore.com has the perfect gifts for the freedom lovers in your family. Whether it's Convoy Christmas, Canadian Christmas, or my personal favorite, all I want for Christmas is a new Prime Minister. Can I get an amen?
There will be consequences.
We have so much, including the classics that your loved ones can wear all year long, like our Rebel gears, our Hey, We Are Ungovernable, and another one of my favorites, Trudeau Castro. So head to rebelnewsstore.com and use the code RebelChristmas to save 15% today. Merry Christmas!